Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the coverage of ETF2L Season 41. It's the final week of the regular season before playoffs. It is the matchup between the Germans and MANDEM that can decide a potential final playoff spot. I am Surny, joined by DrUnderscore on the camera and Prem legend YeeHaw on the microphone. How's it going, man?
Hello, I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm doing fine. I can't complain. I'm excited to see this matchup. I'm definitely not going to be biased because one of the teams happens to be the nationality that I also am. Um. Anyway, let's get that out of the way. Let's talk about these players real quick because we don't know how keen they are and how quickly they're going to get started. But there were a couple of head-to-heads you want to look at, so let's look at those real quickly. Namely, you wanted to look at the scouts, the flank scouts specifically, right? So is that's like your forte or whatever. You're like a scout player, so you know what to talk about with these players. So we'll be looking at I believe Shocky and BB in
Yeah,
that regard.
well,
Everybody already knows the teams anyway, so you know.
yeah, well, I just thought it's been an interesting little matchup, particularly on the BB end. We're gonna look at Shocky versus BB in a sec. But I thought BB would be an interesting player to look at because he's kind of a rising star, a bit of a DM legend in a few of the games I've played against him. You know, definitely a very interesting trajectory for a player. So I wanted to see how that would be reflected in the stats here.
I mean, wasn't he like didn't he win or at least was nominated for best newcomer as well a couple of seasons ago? So like he's definitely made quite the impact in the few seasons he's already been in Prem for, and it shows, I suppose. Going up against a Prem long-standing player as well, like Shocky especially. I mean, it's no easy head to head to go up against, but he just looking at it in general, he's doing pretty good.
He's definitely got kind of he's very aggressive. You know, he'll
Yeah, I
go
mean
in,
it shows, yeah.
he'll try and use his phenomenal aim to hit some meat shots, get some crucial multi kills, and just kind of get his team out of a funk if they have a disadvantage. Then he can try and equalize. So I'm definitely going to be looking forward to see if we can see some of that coming out of him in this game.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because he does get, especially compared to Shocky, if you're looking at the head to head here, he kills a lot more, but he's also more aggressive and thus he dies a lot more. So overall, actually, the KD, if that's the stat you're looking for, is worse. Uh, but the extra killing, he's doing a lot of good cleanup there, so that's certainly going to help out his team. Another one you also wanted to look at, just because we get this on fast track, was Rons versus Amt and the Pocket Soldiers. The anchors of the teams, so to say. I mean, I don't know who exactly is main calling. I would assume Amt is main calling on his team, but
Yeah, of course.
we'll have to see.
Runs is another kind of similar to BB. He's going to go in for some massive bombs in my experience. You know, he's going to try and he always uses a minimum of 2 rockets to bomb. You know, so he's super fast and super quick, and he's got great directs. So if your medic's not careful, if your scout not ready to see him coming, then you're going to do a lot of work for MANDEM if Voxy and Shocky can't keep him in check.
And I remember that. Yeah, I mean, and when I've seen him play on the French teams, obviously, there you have the synergy and stuff as well. But it was also always quite dangerous with his bombs, especially when they were well coordinated as well. And as far as I'm aware, he did join MANDEM halfway through the season, so he wasn't there the entire season, but he did join them halfway through. And if I was good at my job, I would have looked at how their standings or how their performance has changed since that day. I mean, overall, they've obviously not been having the best season, and they can't make playoffs anymore at all, but they can still stop the Germans from making playoffs. That's the important indication of this match, where if the Germans actually manage to get 6 whole points tonight, aka they take both maps in a sweep, they can still make playoffs. I don't exactly know how the tiebreaker is going to work, considering the other team that's also going to have 9 points in the standings is going to be Force Kings, which they tied, but that's not for me to worry my head about. That's for the admins to figure out. And then, they'll decide who makes playoffs with these two teams. But MANDEM can stunt them. MANDEM can decide, we don't want you guys going to playoffs, and they can just take a single point off of them, take one map to Golden Cap, and it's over already. The dream has been shattered. So the Germans might very well want to play out of their minds tonight if they actually want to have a chance at making playoffs.
Yeah, I'm just curious if the will to deny Germans the playoffs is there from MANDEM. You know, some of the players, maybe they're looking to next season, fancy their demo, already got one foot out the door, has joined and Destruction's roster will be joining them for playoffs. So, I mean, I don't know if there's any rivalry here particularly, but if there is, then MANDEM might try and give it their all. But if not,
It
then
could certainly
might be
be a
looking at a
close
quick game
matchup.
here.
Yeah, we could be looking at a quick game if they don't want to, really bother. They've already resigned themselves. It's the final week. It's not like they're making playoffs. It's just about the toxicity, I guess, of screwing over your opponent. But it could very well also be a quick game if, Germans are the only ones taking the game seriously no matter what. So, MANDEM, if they don't really care, if they're just going to have some fun with it, we might see maybe a closely contended 15 minutes, and then they're just like, yeah, whatever. I want to go play something else, or I want to just log off for the night. Either way, the first map is going to be Metalworks, and I believe our second map is Process. Ooh, coming right back from the first map. Interesting. Okay, well, that's going to be, those are two very different maps. I always like pointing that out. I like pointing out how we haven't played Metalworks for years and years like we have Process, here in Europe at least. Although it's already been like a couple.
Both teams are ready, so we're going to be going into the game now. Let's see.
Let's take a look.
First mid.
How this first mid is gonna go. I'm gonna look at who am I gonna watch? Fancy. I'm gonna watch Fancy's rollout. Let's see how well this man does. Considering he's already got a foot out the door. He's certainly going normally. Yeah, nothing special here. As the mid now unfolds, teams making their way here, the usual stuff. Demos just looking at each other, lobbing some stickies. Finally though, both teams have arrived, and the peppering can begin. A bit of bombing across as well. MT just going aggressive on that top door there, denying Ron some ground, getting back out again without any sort of danger. And Blank is going to be the first casualty of the mid fight. Philip's going to pick up that kill. As more and more fighting commences, again, MT picking up another kill onto Ron's there. Lardox with a deep bomb into the combo, manages to get onto June. A huge pickup there. No medic for the Germans means no uber advantage chance to take into second and last, and obviously with Arcades being alive on the other side, that's going to make stuff a little bit easier for MANDEM to try and hold on to second here, and they're certainly going to be doing have a nice time of doing that. I mean, Germans aren't even going to contest.
MANDEM looking to go underpass, take mid. Pretty tentative so far on the mid, just poking Germans a bit, seeing if they can get any free picks, but Lardox with a great bomb to salvage onto June. Fishcop bombing in onto, actually drops Arcades, sinks him, and just completely takes him down. That's a great bomb already. Yeah,
I mean, he's showing that he's got a lot of experience, and that's a great bomb to equalize that immediately for his team. Now, June finding that 60, almost 70% advantage and rising. Now, obviously, Germans making their way back forward, pushing back these MANDEM players who backed out all but to last at this point. Lardox is still left behind, just seeing if he can maybe catch somebody off, but he's not going to stay in for too long either. They're going to have to just back out as well, meet up with their medic again. Try to hold on to last as the Germans roll forward. Trying to take this Uber into last, ideally, obviously, if nobody manages to slip onto June at this point, which does not look to be the case. Yeah, no, MANDEM are just set up on last. Blanks on the sniper. They have a sentry being built as well by BB. It's only level 1 so far, level 2 now, and it might very well be level 3. Nope, there's the Uber already, so it won't be upgraded fully. Uber comes in with the Scout demo combo. And that's it, really. Ron's denies a bit of ground as well. They take down the sentry, lose Shocky, lose MT as well. Only one kill on the side of the defending team here. Lardox does go down. Fishcop doesn't quite land where he wants to either. Yeah, that's a very disastrous push, jeez.
That was a great job by Lardox, just fighting Shocky on the flank, gets the quick pick, and then bombs in, finds another weak soldier. So great job from him, making a good play to equalize the Uber disadvantage they have there. And it's the same situation. Let's see if Fishcop can get another massive. Let's see what John's gonna do.
Yeah. If they can keep Arcade safe this time around, looks like they're going to opting for the top route and battlements this time around. Oh, yeah, no, they're denying the soldiers kind of well as well. Empty. Maybe trying to go for a bomb there, ultimately decides not to, gets out with his life at the very least. So MANDEM now claiming mid-June, almost up on an Uber as well. So Gonna be looking at an equal Uber hold here as MANDEM move forward into alleyway. Very, very poised to try and even take this in. Maybe just going for the exchange here, gunning for it. Not aware of how quickly June might have built. And it's a bit of a messy time as the soldiers go in first. Finally, the Ubers are looking at each other. And Arcades has dropped 2 of his players already, having to run out. Might actually get caught here as well. Just barely jumps over a rocket. Fish Cup is in the meantime. Just on 2 health. Doesn't really get the opportunity to shoot Arcades either. And he's gonna get run out by his scouts. Nobody's gonna be chasing them. But the Germans at least retake mid.
Germans going to be kicking themselves. They didn't get Arcades. There was 50 health in the Uber. Looks like MANDEM want to repush, but Germans are holding their ground for now. Voxy caught out maybe. No, he isn't.
He does live.
Jumps in to save him.
Does live. Unbelievable. Blank running in, spearheading a little bit with Laudox here, trying to create a little bit of space. Fancy there as well to back up some damage. Laudox now jumping in onto the combo. They get a kill onto MT. That might open up a little bit of ground for MANDEM. Obviously, it actually opens up a lot as they pick up Fish Cup as well. They're going to be able to get that mid-capped, and already Fancy and Laudox rolling forward here onto Catwalk as well, just denying maybe rotating players. Ultimately, they were a little too slow. They're going to rotate out now. Try to maybe go over to alleyway. Rons is already hiding in the pack room just in case a German player straggles too far forward and wants to maybe be a bit cheeky. But they have decided to fortify themselves on second. They're not gonna take that risk. No, neither team really. Both teams have a full Uber. Either I guess expecting the other team to make some sort of move, but they're just keeping everything wide open. Everybody's so far back right now.
Rons and Larlux moving to alley. We're going to see the classic soldier sack from Ali into the enemy team, but Voxy, June, they're staying together. June is on the beam of Voxy. Rons tries to sack, gets taken down. Larlux tries to go in, but it's just a bad job and just he's out there.
Yeah, I mean, you've lost your soldier, you sacked him in. There's not much you can do to salvage it if you're already that slow. Germans obviously seize the opportunity now, being numbers up. They're going to be pushing these MANDEM players back all the way out to mid. Blank's coming in as well. Obviously, Blank trying to deny a lot of space. Fishcup now in with a bomb. Gets onto Arcades. Doesn't land the rockets he wants to, though, unfortunately. Arcades easily avoiding those. Now, they're going to find themselves on the back foot again. They managed to pick up Blank in the meantime. Shocky wins that trade, but ultimately, you know, it's a bit of a reset for this hold for now, and both teams still just holding onto those Ubers, not wanting to use them, not willing to let go and press that right mouse button just yet. They need a better opportunity. They're waiting, they're fishing for it, and they're fortified themselves on this lobby, my lord.
MANDEM just content to send a single soldier sack so far. Looks like they're in the same position. They tried to send 2 last time, but it was a bit discoordinated. A bit disconnected from the soldiers. They're just peeking, spamming, getting their buffs. They're pretty content to just
wait. yeah,
nothing.
They're just not doing anything. I mean, Blank is, I guess he is on the spy, so that might be why they're just waiting for either a play from him or at least a lot of intel. He's certainly slipped through, and it looks like Germans might very well already be suspecting there's something going on. He did flash for a second, did get spotted ultimately because he was a bit impatient, couldn't really get the stab. Now obviously they're down a player on the side of MANDEM as well. Germans again obviously immediately seizing that opportunity. Ron's trying to hold them back for as long as he can, ultimately jumps out to mid as well as the Germans find themselves in the valley. Rons goes for a little bit of a bomb, gets a couple of rockets onto Voxy, but obviously nothing that kills just yet. Lardox tries to follow up, can't really get anything either, and actually dies as well, while Arcades got bombed by Fishcup in the meantime, lived as well. But, you know, it's just soldiers trying to go for bombs, ultimately not finding the targets. It does look like Germans are coming out on top in the war of attrition now, though. Both soldiers down for MANDEM. If they can just rotate here, or at the very least avoid getting spammed down by Fancy, maybe MT going in with a bomb here can make something happen. He's gonna just get gunned down by BB though, so that's not happening either. And actually, they're gonna be able to force off Arcades. Blank is gonna try to take that in as deep as he can. And June actually gonna hold for as long as she can. Ultimately loses a Voxy because of it. Might actually have to pop. Might have to force Lardox here. Ultimately does, unfortunately. That's very sad to see.
What a strange situation so far in this match. Both teams just, they don't want to play it too quick. They're just pushing and prodding each other, and eventually MT goes for the play behind, but is caught off, and MANDEM just roll over them with an Uber and get the force out eventually.
It's quite unfortunate too, because June almost getting out there. It's quite unfortunate, quite sad. Could have very well hung on to it, but ultimately, because neither team is really all that aggressive in following up with anything, both medics are basically equal again and have almost got their Ubers, and we're again looking at the stalemate. Well, I hate to say it, it's been a bit of a snooze fest so far, neither team really wanting to go for too much of a committing play. It looks like MANDEM, they're taking initiative. Oh, okay.
Drop Voxy, that's a big pick. There's a lot of damage out from both teams actually. Oh, but 2 picks from the Germans onto MANDEM. I think they cleaned up the behind as well, so unless Pilatus can do something with this bomb, he's saying he gets a clean entry, but
very far away. Yeah,
they're ready for him.
They're not getting anywhere with that. They're not getting anywhere with that bomb at all. Shocky denying it. June already in safety. So that's going to be Germans holding onto that, coming out on top in that exchange. But because Arcades didn't die and actually got out, the Ubers are still very, very much equal here. So unless the Germans can move very quickly, which is unlikely, they're given the current situation, they're only taking 1 point off of this. And we're now looking at a mirrored second to mid stalemate. But Blank has opted to maybe be the switch up that his team needs here. He's going to go sniper. He's looking at lower, seeing if perhaps, you know, there's somebody that's a bit overextended here. Germans, again, not taking any risks. They're just chilling on mid. Looking at all those choke points. Peeking and prodding every once in a while. Blank, who uses all that space he's given to go a bit more forward in alley. And perhaps find a target. That's a first nice shot there onto Voxy as well. Even if it's just a body shot. It is a nice kill. Ron's is going to try to follow up. Get some ground forward. MT actually goes into the skybox. Just barely lives. Gets arrowed just in time as well before he would have died.
Might see a bomb here from the Germans onto the sniper. MT bombing, but doesn't full commit. Rons is in, gets taken down. Germans have a lot of space in house they can use right now, but they are fine with letting MANDEM just run away. No, they respect the Blank sniper definitely, so they're going to try to take underpass center sack, which could be very effective without the double scout to defend.
Yeah, I mean, especially because nobody's watching that alley side right now, really. I mean, Fancy's, you know, got some sticks there on the ramp, but that's about it. Everybody's kind of concentrated, you know, around Blank, seeing if he can make that play. If they can send a soldier in that side, it could be quite devastating. Definitely. Depends on what the Germans end up doing, obviously. They're kind of players here. Fishkov is going to opt for something. He managed to land on Shutter, but doesn't really hit any target of note at all. Gets cleaned up easily. That's the life of a sacking roamer, unfortunately. But at least he made an attempt. He made an effort to let something happen, and now, obviously, they're going to have to protect June here as best they can. Rons is in with the bomb already. Does not land the rockets he needs to either, though. Gets cleaned up, so just an endless back and forth.
I just pushed up all the way in
yeah, jeez.
Valley. It's a good sideline.
Nobody's seen him.
Germans, they aren't taking the bait. Shocky has seen him. Now he's out in no man's land.
Meanwhile, the exchange has happened on second, and nothing note has happened during the exchange at all. But now in this post-Uber fight, trades are happening. Fancy getting taken down is a big one, though, for the Germans here, because now they don't have to worry about stickies around any corner. And also, a lot of damage has been taken off the board for MANDEM, so defending this last one could actually be quite tough here with the dry push from the Germans coming in. Fancy still down as well. Lardox just coming out of spawn again. If they can, you know, circle these players in for a while, get onto that point, get some cap time, they certainly have a chance here. June just gets absolutely destroyed, juggled and air shot by Lardox, though. And the German offensive is very quickly crumbling. Voxy, the only player left in, manages to get onto Blank. Gets cleaned up by Lardox eventually.
Shocky's in.
And Shocky is the only player left in. Gets onto Arcades. That's a huge pick already. Unfortunately, can't clean up much more than that, but that's huge.
Great salvage there by Shocky, but a bit of a blunder during the push by Voxy. Sees a soldier bomber's mid, goes back to try and take him when the point was free. So, felt like that could have been a round win there if he just played it a bit more bravely. But it's going to be 40 ad anyway for the Germans. So yeah, hopefully this push will be more successful than the last one for them.
Ooh, Blank on sniper again already. Landed a headshot as well onto an unsuspecting MT. Ultimately, they're gonna rotate on the side of Germans. Blank is actually just gonna go into the shutter. And actually gets a shot onto Voxy. He's got that man's name tonight. That's just unbelievable. It's the second kill he's gotten on him. Specifically just him. Rons manages to jump through, get a trade onto MT at the very least. To salvage something with that. There's the Uber out of the Germans. Well, they're gonna opt for this, even with 2 players down. I guess the sentry doesn't pose much of a threat there. Now they're just going to have to clean up these remaining players. So Stickies are still on point as well, as Fancy has not been in much danger. Fishkopf gets taken down, as does Shocky, and Philip and June are just going to have to run away. Foxy has in the meantime spawned again, so he can at least hold off Dardox for a little bit, but they're going to have to backpedal a lot here because this MANDEM counteroffensive is obviously here, and they want to take second. Amty manages to slip through, doesn't quite get onto Arcades either, but he is very low. A stray rocket could end him. Unfortunately, nobody's in a position to, you know, make anything like that happen. So MANDEM decisively retake a second now, and with 50 ad, they might very well be looking to push mid here as well, depending on how aggressively they want to play. It certainly looks like they're gonna be doing that, going through Valley. Dardox with a bomb immediately. There's Rons with the follow-up as well. They're just pressuring out these German players, making sure nobody's left behind, and taking mid as well.
Great play by Arcady so far, getting a lot of good milks. He's been juggled up straight up, but he looks a soldier in the eyes and says, "No way you're gonna force me." And then it's like Rons and Lardox can send his doubles again. Actually get bombed up by Fishkopf.
Huge bomb. Huge bomb. My lord, he actually lives as well. Blank gets nuked down with some help from Philip as well, so that's going to be stunting that MANDEM push a little bit, and now with Uber's equal as well. The Germans might actually be looking to take this exchange. They are certainly in a little bit more favorable position. Players-wise, Lardox goes in for a bomb, gets nuked down as well. Bass to just jump away. Rons is caught in as well on low health. Has to run away. They managed to pick up Fishkopf, who bombed in. So for now, they're hanging on. Rons finally gets the arrow he's been waiting for. Foxy also gets taken down, so actually looking kind of dire for the Germans now. With 2 players down, they're going to have to actually back off second even. They're not in a great place to hold it at all. They're going to have to back out to last.
Well, Germans played it pretty well. They baited out both zollies and then got plenty of damage, but it just kind of fell apart. It looks like MANDEM will be pushing main. Ron's going for a high bomb, and Lardox as well. They love these double sacks. They have a decent entry on the June. But great hold as well from June. Both medics just not respecting the other team soldiers at all, and it's paying off so far.
They're certainly not forcing when they shouldn't, at least for the most part, and that has certainly been working out well for them. June is actually going to use very early here to send in Boxy. They're going to obviously have to force out the Uber out of Arcades as well. Has a slightly better Uber, hasn't flashed as much either, so MANDEM's Uber looking a bit better. Here's the follow-up by the other players, so Fishkopf is going to be the first player to fall in the scramble. Blank finally gets taken down as well, and it looks like that's actually all that really happens. BB finally comes back in, senses that Amty was low, couldn't quite get the kill. Meanwhile, Rons gets cleaned up by Philip on the side as well. Now MANDEM find themselves on the back foot yet again, having to back off your Lardox, my bad, trying to buy a little bit more time. But ultimately, they're not in a great position to hold. They're just going to have to slowly but surely back out here. Blank is there to, be a spawner, meet up with his team again. Maybe they've delayed the Germans for long enough. They couldn't get into positions quite enough. Empty's in with another bomb. Can't quite get onto the medic yet again. It's not quite working out the way he wants to. Shocky gets taken down as well. Now BB on a little bit of a streak of his own again. He's rolling forward as well, seeing if he can catch off somebody else. It turns out all the Germans have already escaped into Shutter. There's a double bomb from the soldiers. They managed to force off June. That's pretty huge. And because now Arcades has absolutely no reason to use until he's absolutely necessarily got it. Fishkopf is gonna try to make sure of that. Arcades obviously just respects it a little too little, because he just flips it out. And they take second.
It's going to be another full ad push in this game. I don't think any of them have worked so far. Let's see if MANDEM are better at playing the point than Germans, hopefully.
Get the stickies off there,
again,
it's tough.
Not able to force, unfortunately.
We'll have to see. There's going to be an interesting one. They have all the chance of the world here to try and make it work. They're going to go through far left. They're going to make that sentry immediately. It's only level 2, gets taken down immediately as well. They lose Rons right away. They'll manage to pick up Voxtech at the very least. But now that the Uber is faded, they're going to have to pick up these frags, and these German players are quite healthy. They've been, winning the fights. They managed to pick up Fishkopf at the very least, but lose Lardox right away. Shocky's on the chase as well, trying to, snoop out these remaining players, and ultimately they managed to hold that point, and now they have a full ad as well that they're probably going to use to just push into second here, because these MANDEM players have to be far back. They can't really afford to be too aggressive here. They don't want to lose any chance they have at, staying in the round. And the Germans are going to quickly take back that second and keep rolling forward, because they want to make use of that Uber advantage as long as it's still a thing. Runs. There's the Uber as well onto Philip. He just nukes himself in. MANDEM players are already so far back, there's not much happening. And Lardox has actually slipped in behind. He's gonna try to go for a bit of a back cap, as the Germans are still being blocked on mid. MT is gonna have to go for that 1v1 with Lardox. So it looks like he's winning. Has managed to pressure him off the point, but ultimately, the Germans managed to lose mid, because both June and Philip die.
Lardox seems to have done a lot of work this map so far, as long as he doesn't have to shoot June. I mean, he just brings the whole team back, and then his team just moves into mid, and they have to stack to deny that back cap, but they just get rolled over by blue combo's aggression. So I have another little ad push in seconds, but Germans are here and they want to defend it.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to give it up. They know what's at stake here. If they give man, even want them to take a round if they want to have a chance at making playoffs here. And as it goes right now, this fight is certainly going in their favor. They've managed to take down both Fancy and Ron's already. Lardox has slipped in behind. He's managed to pick up Voxy. That's the only target so far, and the entire German team is aware that he is back there somewhere. Shocky's there to try and chase him down as well. He's only on half health. He's going to get cleaned up easily. And that's going to be Germans now trying to make their way back forward. Ultimately, they have that Uber equalized as well. And MANDEM are just in a rough spot trying to hold this. They're already far back. BB, you know, has to back up as well. They managed to actually use the Uber first. Never mind, it's not even a force. They actually use it first. Obviously, June responds. And they're going to have a way better Uber on the side of the Germans. Arcades is going to have to run. He manages to surf somehow. Still alive. Okay, I was about to say, if Fishcup does not clean that up, I would have been quite surprised. Ultimately, he does. And now it's only Lardox and BB. They're going to have to run for their lives. Hope for the respawners to maybe be able to set up a last hold here, because this is looking quite disastrous.
MANDEM's flank on mid there, just getting picked off, leading to an easy post-Uber exchange for the Germans. Another ad push. Let's see if the German scouts can play the point. I think that's really what they're missing in these last pushes so far. Just Fancy, you know, you just got to shoot one of those sticks, clear us out of the point, and then either you cap or everyone bombs you, you get those kills, and you just cap later. So I'll be looking at Voxy to see if we can pull that off in this push.
Yeah, they're just waiting for that Uber, making their way forward in lobby now. Might be going through main. Looks like Philip is looking to go left instead. Rons is there to meet them immediately, but there's the Uber very early. They don't want to be caught off guard. That sentry's got to get taken immediately, and it does. Rons pressed by some time, but he's so low already. He's going to have to sit on the sidelines. The heavy is in play as well from Blank here. They're full defense mode on MANDEM. They managed to nuke down Blank and Fancy. Oh my god, there's the cleanup coming through from the scouts as well. And that's going to be probably wrap unless Arcades can get his Uber here. He actually does get it onto BB as well. 3 people. He's not going to be able to do that much. They're going to just have to stay on this point, buy some time for the respawn. He gets cleaned up by Voxy here, though. And that's going to be finally, the first round after... That was 22 minutes! After 22 minutes, 21 minutes, the first round goes the way of the Germans. My lord.
Voxy finally learning, yeah, playing the point is pretty good, you know, in the last push. Philip, great job doing that exchange, putting 6 on the point. It's an easy kill for Voxy. Both teams pretty even before that, though. Quite back and forth so far. Let's see if it's going to be the same story in this mid.
Yeah, things are changing. After 21 minutes, maybe you finally decide, you know, how you want to change up your strategy. And the last mid was so long ago, you don't even know what really happened. Ultimately, it's looking very, very passive right now. There's the first little play by Lardox and Fishcup. They obviously just trade. Ultimately, Fancy trades for Shocky. That's a pretty good one to have, though, because now the Germans are looking at a bit of a damage advantage here. They already have good position on the point as well. BB tries to maybe pressure back MT, ultimately just gets pressure back himself. Now Blank also very low. There's a bit of a bomb by Rons. June's gonna have to surf that out. And actually, they've reversed the positioning a little bit here. Suddenly, MANDEM find themselves in a bit of a better position. Rons is gonna nuke down Voxy as well. BB's there with the cleanup, and Blank just runs forward and drops June.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, sometimes holding W works.
Comedy of errors so far for the Germans. They had all the position. You know, Ron's just bombed into a wall. Yeah, couldn't salvage it all, but Blank and BB doing a great job running forward, pushing back the Germans, and then that great drop by Blank just looked like they were out that mid, but now they're in the Germans last, and they might be closing the lead here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a full Uber push into last. Germans are scrambling to set up a defense. They already got the Pyro and Sentry. They just want to hold here, man. They don't even want to They don't even want to make anything else happen. They just want to make sure that they don't lose around here. Obviously, Uber comes through. A bit of a botch jump by Fancy. He's not going to be able to get into last that easily. And actually, that little bit of botch jump with the Uber by the demo might be enough for the Germans to hold on to here for a little bit longer. They're going to have to win these post-Uber fights. They're certainly picked up both soldiers already, only losing Fishcup on their side. MT is going to have to fight BB. That's a tough one to contend with, but ultimately he's almost pulling his own weight. Gets killed, but trades. And at the end of the day, yeah, man, they're going to have to back out here. Yeah, Shockey's already in as well. Oh my god. Oh my god. He actually gets that. That's incredible. Yep, that's the Shockey we know, I guess. Now they're gonna be scrambling to go for June here. Oh, Voxy's out. Yeah, man. The scouts are all on fire in this game, huh? Everybody's playing out of their minds right now.
Yeah, all the scouts definitely playing super well. Ron's is hiding though. He could try and jump onto June. He's walking forward. It looks like he wants to.
Oh,
he finds June,
gets one rocket. Gets the second, but June manages to get around the corner. Lives on 26 HP. They cap second off as well. That's gonna be MANDEM sent back to mid. Sent back, well, maybe, you know, the spawners even to their second, so they're going to be out of this for a bit. Germans are actually going to use the momentum to maybe keep rolling forward. They have that full Uber still. They might want to make use of it if they, well, if they don't have to, they don't have to, obviously, but if they can, so be it. They're going to take mid for free as well, and it looks like MANDEM are just going to build that Uber on second, potentially have it before the Germans can even arrive. That's certainly going to be the case, and the Germans now, well, they're up around. If they desperately want to just take the map, they could park the bus for 5 minutes. I pray to God they don't do it, but you never know. You never know.
EV's trying to take a 1v1, but just it's a good surf out. MANDEM's soldiers just not getting the kills they need to. You know, again, June hitting a great surf onto Ron's, and Ron's and Lardox trying to go for him, but Voxy is completely ready. They're close to underpass. Looks like they might want to do something here. 6v6 this is pretty unusual, but they're just kind of peeking each other. Empty bombing in, Ron's bombing him. They're just going through the motions so far. Oh, here's Fishcup onto Arcades.
Fishcup with a huge double bomb in. Oh my lord. Gets onto Arcades. Manages to get the force out as well. Ron tries to salvage something, goes in deep. They manage to force off June. So ultimately the Ubers are now out of play, and it's going to be this post-Uber fight that decides who, well, wins here. And it certainly is going the way of MANDEM right now. They're picking up all the frags. It's just Shockey left. He tries to maybe get something. Can't even get the cleanup on Fancy or Arcades there. They're going to actually win MANDEM that exchange. Wow. Somehow.
He gets that kill on Arcades, and then a minute later just can't kill that demo, completely caught out of position, and his team gets wiped for it, unfortunately. MANDEM seeing that their demo is caught out and shooting the Germans combo in the side. And now it's another last push from MANDEM.
They don't have the Uber quite yet though, so they're gonna be delaying for a little bit longer if they want to go in with that Uber, which gives the Germans just ever so slightly more time to set up their defenses as well. They got that sentry level 2 now. They have that pyro ready as well. Now there's the Uber. Katie's obviously looking to lose it for the bomb. Works this time for Fancy. Gets struggled by the sentry anyway. Sentry lives for quite a long time as well. Finally gets taken down. There's a bit of a follow-up. They managed to take on both Fishcup and Philip already. That means no sticks on the point, and that's all they needed. That's all they needed. Blank walks on the point, caps it off.
Philip with quite an unorthodox hold there. He traps the point and stands on his own stickies, and MANDEM are just running at him with an Ubered scout. You know, what are you going to do at that point if you're a demo?
Yeah, that's quite rough. That's quite a rough situation. Well, now we find ourselves in quite the predicament here if you're the Germans or a fan of them, because we have 3 minutes left, and if this goes to a golden cap, they already can't make playoffs. So it's going to be do or die time for them. They have to take this in regulation time. They have to win this round in 3 minutes. Otherwise, they can kiss their playoff dreams goodbye if they ever had any. Otherwise, you know, we might be looking at a little bit of a close match, obviously, which is also fun. Eric, as the mid kicks off now, trades falling in the favor of the Germans so far. Lardox just gets picked out the sky by Shockey as well. That's going to seal the deal. He's not going to go for any sort of play onto any sort of player. And it's going to be the Germans taking that mid, rolling it forward into second as well. They know it's do or die time. They are taking this as aggressively as they possibly can afford. Nobody's even left behind to cap second. They're just going to wait for Shockey to get there. Already roll us into last. They have to be aware that Arcades has his full Uber as well. And they're gonna send in people. I mean, Empty manages to slip into their spawn somehow. He's still alive as well. He's just kind of caught back there, causing a ruckus. Almost manages to kill Rons in that whole exchange. Blank obviously got taken down. So ultimately, it's a bit of a weird trade. Fishcup goes in for a bomb. Has to surf a heavy. That's not going to work well for him. BB does go dangerously though. Finally gets arrowed up. Philip gets taken down as well. They only lose Rons for it. Germans are getting a bit desperate here. And it's coming back to bite them because now there are only 3 players up, 2 scouts in the mid, and they're going to have to try to hold on to second and also somehow convert this into a last push in the next 1 minute. Shocking managed to pick up Lardox on the sidelines at least. The exchange is underway in lobby. Obviously, the Germans Uber is going to be a bit better here because there's less flashing, but now both Ubers are out of play, and the Germans have to push this into last. They know it's desperate, they know it's dire, they have to make it happen. There's the GG lag coming through as well. Rons gets cleaned up. That's a good little opening that they have. Fancy dangerously low as well. Actually, Blank taken down by Shocky. Shocky going kind of big right now. There's a lot of aggression on the point as well. They're going to have to step on, and that's just going to get them nuked down. 2-1 for the Germans, and that may very well be the map because there's no way you can convert around in 60 seconds.
What a massive minute of play from Voxy there. Just takes a trade in against 5 people, gets massive damage, drops BB, and then Shocky gets the pick on Blank, and then gets another kill on last. I mean, what a hero for the Germans. It's going to be map 1, 2-1 of a great over by Voxy.
They're gonna stay in this. They're gonna keep their playoff dreams alive for the time being. Who knows how it could change on process? And I want to see this last because this is where people go for crazy plays because I love garbage time. As it turns out, Germans are still, yeah, kind of like superior DM right now, even in that regard. My lord, what a massacre! But yeah, wow.
Both team soldiers, I mean, especially MANDEM soldiers, they're trying to get those massive bombs off, just bomb into a choke, but not able to get enough done, in my opinion. You know, you saw right at the end there, Ron's just bombed into main, into 3 people, but just gets cleaned up instantly. The German scouts are just, especially Voxy, they're just completely ready for him and shutting both Lardock and Rons out of this game. Fishcop and Empty had a little bit more success, but it's kind of similar story. Metalworks is definitely one of those maps where if you're trying to move into a point, you get both scouts on the beam and try and deny those bombs. And going into process, you might see the same story, you know, famously very scout-centric map, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's have a look at the logs here.
I have found them. I shall link them in Mumble. There you go. Yeah, numbers are always the thing that tell us the most about how well somebody performed because it is an objective measure of who's the best player in the server. And right now, the best player in the server just by kill count is Voxy. That's all. That's the first number I look at. Then I look at damage, and it's a similar story. The Germans are kind of dominant. Yeah.
I mean, you know, logs aren't everything, famously. As soon as you bring up logs, like, oh, logs that don't mean anything. They're just numbers. It's just a spreadsheet. But in this case, I gotta go with the man with 25 kills, Voxy, completely having a lot of impact for his team. You know, denying those soldiers, taking those massive Ubers. He had at least 2 or 3 Ubers that were just massive and round winning, in my opinion. So, job by him so far. Probably my MVP for that map. And process, as I said, another great scout map, especially with that beam scout. You got 185, just running your med around the map. I hope to see another big map from him.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're looking out for naturally. I mean, if there's anything else for me to really look at here as well, it shows it shows like the stats wise that it should be a game that the Germans won, but it doesn't, and it also shows that there was a 21-minute long round because everybody's damage is so low. Like nobody's did anything for like 5 to 10 minutes in the first round. Everybody was just sitting at choke on second, looking at each other, not knowing what to do. Who do I shoot? Where do I go? So just a very classical log. Medics overall pretty evenly matched as well, as far as I can tell. There's nothing crazy. Each dropped once. One more Uber out of June. That's what you expect from the winning team, probably. And yeah, let's not dwell on the numbers for too long. let's dwell on what process is going to look like. Ideally, you know, if the Germans are going to make playoffs, because this could actually very well decide it. I'm
Yeah, I'm trying to
interested in that.
think who apart from the scouts how it might change. I mean, you know, on networks you send those soldiers in and it's kind of a Hail Mary. You're hoping they'll get enough themselves and you won't have to follow up too much because it's quite hard to follow up if you're just standing on mid. You send your soldier into valley, you don't really do much. But on this map, you know, if you send a soldier into a choke, you can kind of run in and follow up on his damage. So
Yeah, the
I think
distances you need to cover between the points are a lot longer on Metalworks versus Process. You know, Choke is like tiny in comparison to what Valley is like on Metalworks. It's a long ass hallway. So if you're sending in your soldiers, it's almost like it's a blind Hail Mary, and you hope they manage to do something. Otherwise, you're gonna be having a hard time following up on Process, as you say. It is quite a lot easier, and it's probably going to be something that we're going to be seeing. I mean, they're probably going to play around their scouts even more. Naturally, either team pretty reliant on them already. We could see them do it even more. It's going to be interesting. I do hope though that the soldiers do catch a break. I want to see my man Rons land some of those huge bombs. Uh, even more so. Even more so now.
yeah, I'm hoping. Well, I'm hoping if he gets a bomb just as massive, then his team will be able, you know, on this map as opposed to Metalworks, you know, they'll be able to run in, you know, blank on the
Hmm.
beam and Fancy just, you know, the way I see it going potentially is runs, you know, gets a massive high bomb. Everyone's looking at him. Maybe he hits like a nice direct, and then Blank and Fancy are just laying down the damage, and everyone's distracted by runs. I think
Yeah.
that'd be a solid game plan going in, but you know, the plan never survives first contact. So it could all go to hell, and you know I don't know how this one's going to go, to be honest. So
Yeah, I feel like
I'm
even if
excited.
the Germans won the first map, and at least in the end, it looks like they finally woke up and it was a little bit more decisive. This could still be anybody's game. Like the first map was close enough that this can probably still go either way. It's gonna be hard for me to like be like, oh yeah, there's a decisive victory here now. It really just boils down to how much Mandem cares, right? How much they care to continue playing, because they put up a great fight on Metalworks for the longest time, but now maybe they're like, okay, well, you know, we've already lost one map. Who cares? Whatever. Our team's dead anyway. So who knows, right? I don't know what the goings on in the voice chat are gonna be, but I think it's gonna boil down to that basically, like whether Mandem want to keep up the pressure, whether they want to keep going and put on a great show, you know, have a great match, just have a fun, evenly matched time, or whether they're just gonna take it a bit easier. They're not gonna get too fussed if they're not doing well or whatever. They're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, you know, the season's over. We've had our fun. I don't know. I mean,
Fancy
you're the
dropping
pro here.
a.
How's that play into
You're
it?
damn
How's
right.
that mindset thing play into it? Is
You're
that a
damn right. I'm the
general
pro.
thing? Yeah, you are.
Well, you know, I mean, I think let me check chat. Yeah, Mandem has already readied up. They're not gonna spend too much time doting on the map just happened.
Hmm.
Not gonna. There's no you know, long discussion that you might get after a loss like in an official. So maybe they're just satisfied to send it. So send it just and see if they get a win. They get a win. But you know, maybe they're just gonna be happy to get to bed earlier tonight than they usually would.
Yeah, exactly. And then naturally Germans, oh, well, they're gonna feel a little bit of pressure because now you don't want to mess it up. You're so close. You're that close to have a chance making it to the playoffs potentially. Again, I don't know how the tiebreaker is gonna go, and it would be a darn shame. You know, one team is gonna have to get snubbed. It's either the Germans or it's Forskings. One of them is gonna have to get snubbed on the tiebreaker. Lord knows how that's gonna work. I don't know all the tiebreaker rules by heart, and they seem to change every couple of seasons anyway. So, you know, ultimately, it's a chance though. It's a dream to worth living for. It's a dream to lose to witness again in the finals, or in the playoffs, I guess. Who knows? Ah, well, they're gonna get started. Look at that. No dead air either. Lovely. Let's see how this first mid is gonna go. Oh boy.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna be looking out for Ron's. Yeah, I think Ron's this mid. Let's see if he can do some massive banny bomb off that little wall above the pack. Both solids going fast actually. Larlix is in.
Oh, yeah. And
So is
Fishcom is there
Ron's.
to meet him. Yeah, there's Rons as well. Oh, just every soldier landing on top there. MT actually like choosing to be the only one not going in aggressively immediately. There's the double bomb. Pirouetting around for MANDEM. Ronz is going to be the one to land on the combo. Gets the kill onto June as well. Lardok's not as lucky, but ultimately they still manage to pick up Shocky with the follow-up. MT gets taken down as well as Philip and Fishcuff. Is only Voxy left, and even he could not quite get what he needed to. At least Fishcuff got arcades, but whoa, that was a rough mid for the Germans. They managed to get the mid at the very, very least, but that's a rough one. Jesus.
Great mid by Larlox. Ron's just bombing high and then baiting and going back to his team. Larlox got that med pick just completely by himself. Did not need any help at all. So good job, but MANDEM not able to reset properly with their med and gets taken down.
Yeah, they're gonna have a hard time maybe even holding onto the second for too long. Germans actually quite content even just setting up on last. Foxy's already got the sentry. They have Shocky on Spy. Maybe just currently checking, but also he is out of spawn, so I guess he might go for a play. Interesting choice here. They certainly have the time. It's not like there's any Uber threat imminent, and Ubers are equal as well. So it's a nice situation. Just barely evades getting bumped by Ronz as well. So he is as of yet undiscovered. Certainly still has a chance here with that spy play. In the meantime, obviously MANDEM might be suspicious something is happening. They're actually gonna move forward into lobby a little bit, take some ground there. Arcades naturally turning around.
Oh, he does back to him now.
Oh,
he gets the stab.
Lovely.
Timing there. Germans just collapsing in lobby as well. They've caught off Fancy. He's taking a little bit to die, but it should be fine. They've also taken down Larlox as well. So great job by just the Germans team off that massive play by Shocky Spy.
Yeah, worked out beautifully. Arcades just distracted for a second. You're now trying to heal up some players in lobby as they're all trying to take ground in there. That's all it took. Voxy just nails BB to the wall. There's a bomb by Lardox. Obviously, June is safe in the shutter. Nobody's gonna get anywhere close to that medic. So Lardox can't complete that bomb the way he wants to either. And now they're gonna have to back out here. And it's gonna be Germans retaking their second, maybe even rolling it into mid with that Uber ad. And 2 players still down on MANDEM as well. They won't be able to hold that long at all. They can try to slow these Germans down a little bit. Blank is gonna try that on MT. Maybe even, no, it doesn't quite get the kill. MT is gonna just hide in the corner until he gets arrowed, but Germans take that mid for free as well, and they still have such an ad. Arcades has not been building much at all. He finally connects with his team again. There's the Uber coming in as well. They're just running that chariot through as deep as they can, and lose Fishcup immediately. Manage to pick up Ronz. Lardox in the meantime slips in behind as well. So he's going to be trying to create a bit of a ruckus. Manages to, cut them off for a while. BB manages to kick Voxy in the balls there as MT gets taken down. So actually, and then a good response here. Good response. Okay.
Ron's just behind the Uber and tried to, block the mid cap from Shocky. I think he got the Germans a bit turned around. They maybe panicked a little bit from that. Ron's bomb behind, and then Larlox just comes in, gets another pick, and MANDEM just roll forward. And looks like they're going through IT now. If they haven't spotted it, they might use through. But no, it looks like BB is spotting it, so they'll take second for free. But it looks like the Ubers have equalized. That kind of slow take of second there.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if Germans can hold on here. They've got the sentry. It's only level 1 though, and it looks like it won't be upgraded before it gets taken down. The Uber comes in, obviously runs out of MANDEM. June responds with the German Uber on the other side. It is a lot better because it was a lot later and also flashed a lot less, and they've already lost Fancy and Blank, so it's not looking good for the MANDEM push here. They already backed out to choke effectively. I mean, the Ronz is trying to salvage it. He jumps onto point, doesn't really find anybody except surrounded by 4 players that instantly shoot him down. And they're gonna have to run off with the remaining MANDEM players here.
Blank's,
the Germans just keep going forward.
He might peek into choke here as they walk through. He has a shot, but misses the first shot.
Gets a bit of flinching done as well. June is not crossing either. Well aware that sniper is there. Philip keeping this medic safe as well, and I mean, they're gonna be stunted a little bit. That's MT and also Voxy earlier taken down, so it stunted them at least for a little bit. Blank gets a shot onto Fishcuff there, though. Nice shot by him. He's on choke now as well.
Oh, another one.
Oh, another one onto Philip. Follow-up damage by Fancy kills him, though. Suddenly, this has turned around very quickly. Just a couple of good shots by Blank there. He's in last already. Almost gets another great shot there. Ultimately doesn't quite get it, but he's still a menace to be dealt with right now. He is dangerous. He is armed. Somebody take this man out. They're already losing a lot of players to BB just on the side. He's a 1 HP warrior. Finally gets taken down by Shocky as the Uber comes out of June, but Arcades in like no danger whatsoever. Still has his full Uber. He's all alone. He just dropped all his players, I guess.
Yeah, Walk of Shame back to spawn. I don't know about that play from Arcades. I mean, Blank,
Yeah.
you know, he got 2 headshots and just pushed the whole team back into spawn, but after the force, Arcades is like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm not popping. But maybe a bit counterintuitive. Maybe trying to take an Uber and
oh, there you go.
I think that might be all
might have been the right choice after all. That is certainly a decent Uber so far, but they only pick up MT so far. And now they find themselves out of Uber. They've managed to trade 2 for 2, but they've lost both of their soldiers, and there's BB taken down as well. He can't quite get onto June ultimately. They're just gonna have to keep June alive here. There's no imminent threat either on June, so again, Germans holding on and now finding themselves on about 50% ad, trying to take this into mid. Obviously, MANDEM well aware of this more or less dire situation, just backing themselves out, going back to second, and yeah, Germans actually taking it slow with taking mid here as well. I guess they're gonna leave Shocky, who's just spawned to do that while they take this in. And BB's actually on sniper now. Okay, they've changed those up. There's the Uber coming in from the Germans as well. Fishkopf is in deep already. They've sent him in really deep. He manages to trade for Rons effectively when Voxy gets there with the cleanup. That's gonna be all they really get with that Uber. They managed to get second. Actually, not even, because yeah, they're gonna have to back out. There's a full Uber ad on Arcades. So, matter of fact, that was kind of a botched Uber. They didn't even cap mid yet.
Germans not even in cap mid. They're going really, really deep. Maybe player capping mid got blocked or something. I'm not sure. Ampy trying to sack on the door, but is taken down and does not get traded out. So this is going to be a free mid for MANDEM. I think Germans maybe on second, a little bit afraid of the Phantom Sniper. Both BB and Blank just doing a lot of work on Sniper so far. Had more success from the double soldier sacks, but speaking of which, Lardox is in. Just a bait for Rons though, and they're not gonna anything. He tries to bomb again. He hits a decent rocket, actually, but no follow-up from his team, and it's another 5v6 for the Germans.
Yeah, but equal Ubers at the end of the day, so looks like there's gonna be an exchange in the making here, as both teams find themselves staring down chokes, spamming down bullets and stickies until either team decides, hey, maybe we should go for a play. Whichever team that's going to be, obviously depends on whichever team wants to be the winner tonight. It looks like Rons is going to go through a top IT, meet Fishkopf, and actually manage to slip into lobby all the way. He's obviously got 3 players staring him down, but he's actually holding his ground quite well right now, getting everybody dangerously low. Shock actually just runs to spawn to resub while Rons gets the pack again. So he's still a menace. He's still there. He's still distracting these German players as they can't really send in anybody. Fight them all that head on. They're gonna need a couple players. Fishkopf is gonna be the one to clean them up ultimately. They're gonna be able to maybe now concentrate on going forward with that player advantage. They might be able to send in, you know, a little soldier here. There's Fishkopf. That's exactly what you expect. He gets under Katie's nice first rocket. Doesn't quite get a second off, unfortunately. But at the very least, he's made a play. Oh, there's a pull up by Lardox as well. No, decides to go into sewer instead. There's a bit too much attention on his eyes. They're just gonna keep this pressure up from MANDEM. They're slowly, deciding, nope, never mind. We lost Rons again. All that space he made for him suddenly has to vanish, and yeah, they're just looking at choke again. This is an endless tug of war back and forth in this choke.
Just tries to sneak through the flank again, but Philip he's on the door and it's just catches him out. Empty, a little bit of aggression to sewer, but gets pushed back. But manages to get away with his life. I think MANDEM not opting for the sniper this time. They prefer the defensive sniper, it seems. Both Solly's getting buffed up on MANDEM. They might try and send that ramp slide sack in. Okay, here's Lardox.
Yep. He's in deep, but he just goes behind. He doesn't even want to land on top of anybody. Rons in the meantime gets absolutely denied. Lardox then comes back around trying to get onto June. Gets a decent chunk of damage, but ultimately not the kill, and that's the thing that would have mattered there, because now with 2 soldiers down, you're gonna have a way harder time trying to win this exchange. Obviously an early Uber out of Arcades just to try and make something happen. They managed to pick up Fishkopf, but he was already in so deep anyway. And obviously a way better Uber out of the Germans. They're gonna push these players back, but they're not really gonna get that many kills. And there's a respawn is coming in. They get blank, but there's both soldiers suddenly back. That's a lot of extra damage you're gonna have to contend with. And with better positioning for MANDEM here as well, the Germans are gonna have to run away again.
The MANDEM spawners just pushing the Germans out of mid, and Germans seem to be having trouble breaking the stalemate. I mean, they've got plenty of 1 or 2 soldier picks, but Voxy maybe not feeling the exchange as he was on Metalworks. And looks like, based on how MANDEM's moving, yeah, looks like they might try and send another double sack. Let's hope it's cleaner than it was last time. Ron's kind of getting denied in choke a little bit after looks gets a decent entry. They're walking up to choke.
Yeah. That's gonna be what it boils down to, really. It's not like the Germans would really want to go for a play on a defensive position. Lardox is in, Rons is in as well. This is a dangerous situation if you're German. But June has evaded all damage up until that point. Only hit by 1 rocket. A beautiful server onto Bats. Nobody even getting close to that medic for the longest time. The scout's doing a great job denying as well. There's the same situation now, come on. Both soldiers dead, Germans, you have your beautiful chance here. It's a silver platter, really. It's a great exchange, even if it goes in your favor. Like, you just gotta start taking that ground. Arcades is gonna pop his Uber, trying to maybe, hold on that point for a little bit longer. Obviously, the response comes out of the Germans, and MANDEM are just gonna have to book it. Hightail out of mid there as best they can. Fishkopf tries to catch him off. Voxy is in as well with MT. Lardox tries to send it through choke. That's not gonna happen. They lose Voxy at the end of the day, but ultimately they've created a lot of ground, and Fancy being dead as well means they don't even have to worry about, pushing as much because there's no sticks.
The Germans finally managed to break the stalemate, and MANDEM trying to Uber into them, but at the end of that Uber, I feel the Germans overchased. They got through the choke, and both Voxy and Fishkopf, they both picked off, and so that's going to hold their momentum there. Let's see if Germans have a bit of a deeper strat book than MANDEM. It looks like the soldiers are going to get buffed. You might see a similar sack here from the Germans.
Yeah, here's hoping it goes better for them. Maybe they manage to get on target a little bit more easily. Arcades is positioned a little bit more aggressively on the point, so that could very well make a difference, depending on how he decides to handle it. But ultimately, the Germans have to be the playmakers here now. It's the ball's in their court. They have to make something happen. It looks like they're sending the soldiers in through IT, actually. At least Fishkopf is going to go forward. MT decides to rotate around again. Shocky actually just... Nope. Okay, never mind. He got spotted and he's decided to just go right back. Okay. And actually they've rotated to sewer, it looks like, so they might be looking for a push from this side instead. Maybe it's a bit more open. Unfortunately, MANDEM are very well aware. Voxy peeks the shutter, instantly gets clipped by Fancy there, and that's gonna be the pick that MANDEM needed, I suppose, to take it forward with the aggression. Suddenly they find themselves on mid, manage to take down Philip and force off June as well. For both of their soldiers, that's a pretty good trade. Obviously, they're gonna have to use their Uber as well, though. That's actually not that good at all. Never mind. I mean, they managed to take mid off the back of it. Fishkopf gets onto Arcades, though, still lives for the longest time there. That's Fancy taken down as well. It's Blank and Voxy basically going for a 1v1 here, except one of the scouts has a beam and the other one does not. So I can't imagine who's gonna be more likely to win this one. It's actually, Blank is holding his ground quite well. He manages to escape at least, so, fair enough.
He's feeling confident, but Voxy 185 versus 125, I mean, that's just mathematics. He's getting caught off by the Germans here. That was pretty poor from Blank, I'm not gonna lie. You can't get caught there. But this is gonna be a 5v6 defense. It's a 5v6 defense right now. Germans trying to build, they're gonna walk it through before they get Uber. This kid is a little bit risky here. Larlot's going for a big bomb. Curves around.
Doesn't quite want to go for it. At the end of the day, it's a bit dangerous. They found the sticks too, so nobody's dying to those. Lardox even gets cleaned up, so that's another player missing yet again. Even if Blank has spawned again, he is on the sniper. Trying to maybe catch somebody off here. The Uber comes in as well into last already. These Germans are trying to round us around out as quickly as possible. They've capped second. There's the counter Uber by Arcades, though. They didn't really manage to take much ground with it. The Germans, at least. They've managed to pick up 2. It's a 4v4 at the very moment. In terms of players, it's also like classes, it's equal. But Germans are certainly looking a little bit dire here. They're not as cohesive right now. Shocky manages to slip in. He manages to get onto... managed to get onto the combo, but doesn't quite get the kill, unfortunately. Man. Just gets in that a little lower there, the exact moment nobody's looking. Also just doesn't quite land that final meat shot onto Arcades, because that could have definitely turned it around for them. Now, we're back to the stalemate basically. As players stare each other down. Lardox tries to jump in through choke there, gets just juggled around, ultimately manages to not get much done. Rons gets the follow-up onto June though, and suddenly the German team is collapsing. There are only 3 players left, nobody can get healed. Make that 2 players left. Shocky is on the run, Philip is already out. MANDEM looking quite good right now. They have that full Uber, and they're in a very dominant position to maybe try and take this even more forward. I mean, no German players spawning until now, and even then, they're all on last. Oh no, wait a minute, they did get forwards, okay. Fair enough.
3-second take from MANDEM. I mean, I appreciate the attempt at the hold on mid by the Germans. Oh, Fishko might get picked here. Oh no, he's massively overextended there. His whole team was on last, building a sentry, and he just tries to take the 1v6, and really, it doesn't pay off. But it looks like MANDEM are pushing through 4. They found the take it down very quickly, and Lolox and Runs are in panic. This might be curtains for the Germans here. They've got a lot of cap time. They're baiting everyone onto the point, getting good damage. Amty gets taken down, and there we go. A good point play there by the MANDEM. Textbook last push, really.
Yeah, like lots of cap time early. Even even if they had to step off again for sticks, and then Amty, the only player really trying to block it at all, just gets beat down by the scout, and that's gonna round out the round. So after yet another 24 minutes, almost 26 minutes, almost 27. The first round is finally on the board, and it is for MANDEM. Germans feeling a little bit of heat right now. If they want to stay in this match, they got to win 2 rounds in the next 13 minutes. It's certainly possible. That's not undoable. But this mid fight is not falling in their favor right now. Arcades going down to 3 HP, surfing up onto the roof. That is just painful to see, because Voxy is in no way to follow up with any sort of chip damage either, so that's painful. But at the very least, they hang on to their own medic, they hang on to their own Uber. Lardox is already in on last to try and cause a bit of dismay here. Actually, matter of fact, all of MANDEM are already in lobby, except for BB, who's left to cap points, I suppose. So they're really trying to put the pressure onto these German players, making sure
Flank gets good damage, but does not do enough by himself. His team's not ready to follow up. If you're a soldier in that situation, you just gotta make it yourself, get a pick. But Germans actually re-pushing through 1. Voxy feeling confident now, trading quite early, but the counter pop is there from Arcades. Flank trying to run behind, gets the demo. This is a great Uber. They're going in all the way.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking that deep. Dugata at that point. Blank is actually in so deep. He doesn't really get the shots onto Shocky. He needs BB's there to back him up as well. 2 scouts on last. That's a pesky bunch of mosquitoes. There's Lardox as well with the follow-up damage, and that is a very quick second round for MANDEM.
MANDEM's so confident. There's so much damage being put out by BB and Blank. Just they're hitting those meat shots, and Germans can't deal with it. They're trying to pull some more shenanigans that they metaworked, the Voxy trade, but MANDEM, they counter pop, and they're just saying no, not this time, and completely the Germans back to last on them. So it's another mid.
Yeah, it's another mid. Let's see if the Germans can find their way back into this game. It'd be a darn shame for them to lose it like this. Amty going for a high bomb, just gets peppered. There's Lardox with the response of his own. Lands on top of the team, but everybody's already dead anyway. Like, with Juden mainly being dead here. Okay, they managed to find Arcades actually at some point there as well. It's a whole scramble. I have not been paying attention to this mid-fight at all. Shocky kills Lardox there before getting cleaned up himself. Okay, ultimately the Germans wipe, but yet again, they hang onto a sliver of a chance here by killing Arcades. Kind of late, actually, at least later than June died. So they're gonna be able to, their way back into this, maybe even hold on to second with only like 2 players surviving that for MANDEM on mid there. Certainly have a chance at trying to contest second here and hold it. And it looks like that's what they're doing as well, as these MANDEM players can't really make their way too far forward. They have to back off to mid again.
Arcades not able to pull off any critical serfs that mid, but Rons and Lardox doing a much better job this map of taking down June on the mids, just double bombing him quickly, killing him really quickly, and just getting out more damage because of the quick kill. I'm definitely very comfortable in this mid to second half, but it looks like it might be a double scout trade from IT. Germans are poised to take the trade. Arcades is 90%, he might get caught out, but they're satisfied to demo, and Hockey gets taken down. That's poor positioning from him. The whole thing might be unraveling. Once he gets another pick and gets the force, he's causing a lot of chaos right now, and the counter pop is out. But to bring the whole team back to their second, this is so good from Voxy. And Amty gets a pick, they just need to trade so far.
Yeah, I mean, MT gets to pick onto Arcades. Him dying at that point is already just worth it. Foxy's still pulling so much attention. Finally gets taken down, but that's gonna buy these Germans a lot of time, and they need a lot of time right now. Except they don't really have that much. It's not they need 3 rounds in 9 minutes, and that's gonna get into quite the crunch time. So they're gonna have to really start pushing this aggressively. He's gonna have to make some plays here. There's Ron's in already as well. Gets cleaned up by Shocky at least. But they're gonna have to really make use of everything they can here. Fishkopf gets stuck on a rock for a while. The rest of the team follow up as well. They're gonna have to push out these MANDEM players as cleanly as they can. Just push that enemy line back, take that mid, keep it rolling forward as well. Make use of that numbers advantage while you still have it. They don't know how long they'll have it, obviously. But they
Germans
might
going
have a
to
chance
IT.
take
I think
second
they
here.
might pop through here. Voxy and June, they're confident. They're trying to bait in a soldier. Now they're running into rollout. Pop,
Oh,
and
there you
they're
go.
going to be chasing all the way to last. Get decent damage onto Arcades, but don't take him down. They get a pick onto Fancy. Okay, they need to start pushing last right now. Their flanks got the cap, but they're just slowing down, and Arcades might get this Uber if they're too slow.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly taking their time. There's Arcades with the Uber as well. They got a tiny bit of cap time on the point, but Lardok's also denying the combo, just moving through 4 there. Doing a great job of just juggling them around, you know, doing a bit of entry damage. So ultimately, Germans won't be able to get on the point in time. And with Arcades using his Uber there, now MANDEM gonna be at a light disadvantage, but they're gonna be able to build up a sentry and gonna have a 450 HP heavy chilling up on top. So it's gonna be quite the interesting thing to push into if you're the Germans here. You might have that significant Uber ad if you move off of it immediately, which they look to be trying to do. But you gotta at this point. If you want to win 3 rounds in 7 minutes, it's gonna have to happen. And they're gonna have to go in as aggressively as they can. Sentry taken down immediately. That's gonna be the only pick for the Uber so far. Lots of cap time. Sticky's still really kind of only now cleared off the point, but they've lost 3 players already. There's the counter Uber out of Arcades as well. He finally got it, and that's the Germans wiping. Oh.
Blank did a really good job there, just... Fancy's actually going for this one cap up. Gets good stickies. Oh, if Germans aren't ready for this, they might be bad. Oh, but he doesn't get a kill there. Sticky's not placed enough, but they are going to be locked out of mid completely. None of them feeding in the forward spawn, and it's just going to be another mid to second stalemate. Germans got to be feeling the crunch now. 2 rounds down. If they don't win this map, they're not going to make playoffs. They need to win 3-2 at the very minimum. They can't afford to let it go to golden cap even. With 30% ad from MANDEM on their second, it's a tall order.
Yeah, and then, you know, the time is ticking. Every minute that ticks off the clock is a potential round that you're losing. So it's not necessarily something where you can really take your time here. I mean, they're building like crazy. June getting close to that Uber again. He's almost there, so he's certainly trying their absolute best here. Arcades is gonna have to use because he just gets spammed so much. Obviously, June's going to respond with his own Uber. Voxy's going to be the first player to get taken down, though. They managed to pick up Ron's and Laradox, though, so that counter Uber is certainly going well. And there's Philip chasing down Arcades, who's just completely disconnected from the rest of his team, but yeah, no, there's certainly still a chance here. They only lose MT behind it as well. Fancy meets up with his medic again. They managed to escape for the time being, but it's only the 2 of them. Arcades is still so dangerously low. Gets that little pack. Germans are going to opt to just cap that midpoint for now. They're gonna have to keep it going, though. If they want to manage to do this in 6 minutes, it's such a high order to get 3 rounds in that time. As it stands, again. Not on pace, BB. Oh, man.
I feel like Germans might want... You know, they're looking at the clock. They might want to push this quick. He's actually going back to spawn, so... He's fine to just hold it on the cookie cutter classes. And, yeah, looks like the Germans are just walking through Arcade. If they had the sniper, maybe they could have denied this. But Lolix is in. Catches an overextending Philip. That's a good trade. But Fancy, a lot of damage being put up by Voxy right now. Shocky's in. Doesn't convert into a kill, but it's a bit back and forth. Both teams kind of beefing a little bit. Shocky gets caught out and taken down though by BB. Not enough damage being put up by the German scouts there after that good pick onto Lardox.
Yeah, they're gonna lose Fishkopf as well. And now it's just Foxy with June. June's gonna have to use to try and keep the scout and his Uber. At this point, obviously, Arcades in no danger, really. Foxy's gonna try to go for the force, but he can't even get close. And MT is obviously gonna get denied here as well, so... It's not looking that good. MANDEM again bought themselves another minute and a half here. Took another minute and a half out of the bag for the Germans. That they're now
Shock is into the
nearing
flank, but
impossibility.
anyway gets a demo kill. He's gonna set up this back cap. MANDEM in on mid. They're getting plenty of picks, but it might not be enough. They are going back. They're looking at anti and shocky flank. They get some clean kills onto them. That's a good job. I mean, again, Arcades just content to drop his whole team and kind of putting his team in an awkward position here, but managed to come out on top somehow. They're pushing the Germans out of mid, and if Foxy's not careful, he might get taken down and catches the rocket. Bishkop tries to jump in, and good bomb by liest, taking him down.
Germans ready to follow up as well. Oh my
great
god. Bomb. Huge, just huge bomb through choke there as well. Gets onto June. It's looking like the German Empire has crumbled, because now I think we've reached the point where it's actually mathematically almost impossible for them to win 3 rounds, especially given the current situation, because MANDEM look like they might just take another one at this point. It's certainly in a good position right now to take another 3rd round and make it 3-0. These Germans, they're gonna have a hard time defending against this. They have no Uber at all. They're just now building sentry. MT is still dead as well. Yeah, they're not even gonna use the NG actually, realizing there's no point. And oh, MANDEM can take so much ground here on last as well without even having to use the Uber. Just using it once they're basically already in a German spawn. It still sticks on the point, but those can get just cleared off. There's a bit of cap time. They managed to kill both scouts. At least the Germans are hanging on with a silver thread for now. Lardok's trying to pickaxe down June. Does not get the kill. June staying alive, so the Germans managed to hang on there, but that's another 40 seconds they've lost.
Oh, but the med's taken down. Oh, this is a dream scenario. Shock's called GG, but it's definitely not over yet. 3 minutes for 2 rounds. I mean, 1.5 rounds already with the advantage they have so far. Just thinking the game's over. He's not even looking in the right direction on last. But if they lose off of that, that'd be heartbreaking for MANDEM. BB on the fully charged sniper, but the shot.
Coast to coast is certainly still possible. Germans are keeping up the pressure, taking off second now. They're getting that Uber up on their side here as well. There's obviously still a chance. It is absolutely possible, but they have to play out of their minds for the next 2.5 minutes, and if these Germans can do that. If they can keep that up, they can get this Uber in, if they can get a bit of cap time early, get those stickies off the point. There's Voxy trying to stand on the point. That's a lot of cap time already. That's going to pull these MANDEM players in, but there's so much spam on the point now. They've managed to lose their demo already. The BB and Ron's down on the other side means there's not a lot of damage for these MANDEM players to put out either. It's really just got to be edging out that cap slowly but surely, trying to push players off the point. It's so close. It's so tough. But they're winning this. Okay, finally. 2 minutes
nice
left.
Damage output by the Germans. I mean, 2 rounds in just 150. I mean, that's pretty hard, but
it's possible.
I mean, maybe Germans are just gonna let it go to golden cap, and maybe they're just gonna be like, okay, we didn't make it to playoffs, but 5-1 against this team. Maybe we're happy with that. Let's see what the mid is gonna bring. Both demos not beeping their rollouts completely.
Yeah. I mean, this is gonna be deciding mid. If the Germans mess this one up even in the slightest bit, if this is not a clinical wipe, it's already too slow, matter of fact. If they want to be on pace, there's a GG lag coming through as well, so it does go to time. And that's gonna be June getting taken down as well. They managed to get Arcades at the very least, so it's gonna be just a DM battle to the death here. But Blank is so healthy, he's just jumping above everybody. There's Voxy. That's basically the one we wanted the Wolves into, because Philip, I mean, he can try to contribute. Well, Voxy manages to scare off Blank for the time being. But Philip is out of his water here against Blank for sure, and Blank's gonna gladly take that pickup. Now there's Lardox to come and back him up as well. So I think this is the one.
It's complete chaos right now. I mean, it's just MANDEM just happy to deny Germans playoffs. Germans really just mishandling that mid to second stalemate. They're not able to take advantage of the, frankly, poor sacks that the MANDEM soldiers were doing. They didn't really get anything with the sacks, but Germans not really send anything effective with their own into mid, and BB is calling GG. And the playoff dream for the Germans unfortunately vanished into nothing.
Well, it was hard fought though. It was very hard fought. I mean, the score lines for both maps were 2-1. You can't really get much closer without golden caps. That's pretty much as close as you can get in these matchups. So they were evenly matched after all. Unfortunately for the Germans, they don't even have a chance at making the playoffs now. But it gave us a bit of a showing. it shows that these teams were definitely evenly matched. They both tried their hardest. And at the end of the day, the real winner is whoever had the most fun.
I mean, I'm not sure the Germans are going to see it that way. I mean, I'm sure they're feeling a little disappointed. It just I mean, as you said, that was so close. I mean, they just barely missed out on playoffs there. In fact, I mean, just a couple of mistakes, just maybe one massive bomb, you know, in that mid-second stalemate by Ampty or Fishkop, you know, dropping the med, that could have been the difference there. I mean, I say that, but
Maybe,
that would be a pretty massive play, but
yeah,
it
maybe a
really
bit
did
more
come down to the
decisive
wire.
action, or maybe like more decisive action in the first round. Again, this was like the first round of this map again took 2/3 of the timer off, and then the Germans lost it as well. So like if you're in that position, you waste 20 more than 20 minutes basically just sitting on choke, right? It doesn't matter which sides in which side it's on. And then after those 20 minutes, you lose your first round, and suddenly you're in crunch time because you know you got to win at least two, and then you lose another. It's a rough situation to be in, but yeah, the logs show how evenly matched this map specifically was. My lord.
Yeah, I'm kind of struggling to find any significant difference between the teams. I mean, Fancy doing, you know, a cut above Philip in that game. You know, I saw him overextend a handful of times, and the German demo that is, and definitely maybe cost his team a round or a push, you know, here and there. And in such a close game, it can really add up to playoffs. I mean, but hopefully German's able to after the dust has settled, they'll be able to take this victory in stride. They'll be able to learn. They're going to come back stronger, or they're probably just going to die after this match. So whatever.
Every like it feels like every team just dies after a season anyway nowadays. So we'll probably see the players again in another iteration. It'd be lovely to see them stick together for the next season as well. They've certainly shown that they are contenders. They have a chance at actually getting something done in Prem, and it'd be lovely to see them stick together for the next season. But as it stands, that's going to be I think is that no, there's one more match tomorrow, right? There's one more match tomorrow, which is Death and Destruction versus TF2 Easy? Yeah. Yeah. I got that correct. Hell yeah. How the hell did I do that? Oh my lord. So that's gonna be the match to look out for tomorrow. At the same time, this one will not be as decisive for playoffs because both of the teams have already made it. This is just gonna decide the seeding, I suppose. But that's I guess something if you're really that min-maxy, I guess that's something to look into. But ultimately, yeah, that's gonna be the playoffs team settled. It's gonna be Witness, TF2 Easy, Death and Destruction, and Force Kings taking it into the playoffs. And yeah, I mean, I've got nothing more to say. I know maybe you have some closing words, YeeHaw?
I mean, I think I've said all I can really. I mean, German's a very spirited attempt, but it's the end of the season for them. We're going to be saying goodbye, but going to be saying hello to playoffs. A lot of interesting changes in the air. I don't want to spoil anything yet, but before the cast, I was talking to my casters in the production about some interesting roster moves of the Prem playoffs teams. So I'll keep it mysterious, but look forward to that definitely if you're interested in the storylines of these teams. But
I mean, you let
yeah,
one go earlier during the cast. That's like Lardox, I believe, joining Death and Destruction. So
no, fancy help.
fancy it was fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. So that's one of them, I suppose. But yeah, we'll see some more fun stuff happening in the next weeks as the playoffs commence. For now, though, that is going to be it for this matchup tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I suppose. If you want to have any shoutouts or any closing words, YeeHaw, feel free. I'm not gonna stop you.
I mean, just shout out to the teams.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Germany.
Good enough. Good enough. Honorable. Yeah, that's gonna be it from us then. Look out for the match tomorrow. Look out for more news as per usual on TFTV and all that stuff. And we'll be seeing you next time. Bye.